Very good morning, students. Welcome back to another class of Communicative English. And in today's class, we are going to understand the difference between writing a letter on a paper and then sending the same letter in the form of email. All right. So let us understand the basic difference between a letter writing and email writing. Whenever we say email and letter, in fact, the matter or the information that you are going to share will remain same, but the mode changes. When we are talking about the mode, it won't be through postal, it would be through the technology or through internet that you are using, that you will be able to share the information to the recipient or to the respondent so that you can get the answer or reply accordingly. Whenever we are talking about email, there are different benefits that a person derives because of sending an email. Now, let us take, for instance, if you are sharing an letter, if you are sending a letter, if you are sharing an email, and if you are posting a letter, what are the differences that you are going to witness or feel? The first thing is when you post a letter, you don't have any confirmation or you cannot have any proof, isn't it? When we talk about the proof, we do not have any proof, and this proof, because of this proof that is absent, people may say that the letter that is actually posted was not posted. So you cannot have the proof when you are talking about the letters. You will not be exactly knowing at what, on what date and at what time have you posted the letter. Whether the person has received the letter or not, again, you cannot acknowledge, you cannot have that confirmation from the other side. So therefore there is ambiguity, a lot of confusion will be there whenever you are writing a pen and paper letter or posting a letter. Whereas when we talk about email, email will definitely try to bridge up this gap. How the gap is being bridged, let us understand this. Whenever we are talking about sending an email, we all know, unless and until the address is not wrong, the email is going to reach in the inbox of the recipient without any problem. If there is a good internet connection, wherein you also have the right email address of the recipient, you can share the information, you can convey the message, or you can share whatever the information that you want to inform in the form of instruction or order, or to share any proposal or even the reports, or whatever the form could be. All these could be shared without any hitch or without any time loss. So you have to always keep this in your mind, that whenever you are sharing an email, what are the benefits that you're going to derive? There are three benefits. First, you exactly know that the person whosoever you have shared the email, that person has received it, because you can also get that acknowledgement. Second, whenever you are sharing any email, the date and the time are default setting, which is done. And so therefore you can exactly know on which date and by what time or at what time exactly you have sent the information to the other person. And even in future, you can have these references, right? So for example, if you have posted a letter, you will not remember it for after a year or two, that when did you post the letter, what was the information that you have shared with the person, or what was the communication that you had between you and the other person. Whereas when we talk about the email, if you know exactly the email and if the person did not change the email address, you can have that conversation continuously going on under the trail mail. So you should remember that there are lots of benefit that a person is going to derive instead of using a letter, which is to be written on a paper or typed on the paper and then posted. Instead of posting, if you are using an email, it will save your time, it will save your cost, it will also help you in getting the confirmation, that is having an acknowledgement, also knowing what is it that you are sharing with the other person. So when we talk about emails, emails have really helped us a lot. Even the letters which used to take maybe 10 days time to travel from one country to the other country, and then to get the response from the other person, so that could be done in an hour. The time is really is taken into consideration. The process has really become simple, and the recipient or the person whosoever has received, even he or she can act or respond to the information that is being shared very quickly. So the complexity has now been broken, or you can say that has been eliminated. So when we talk about emails, yes, of course, it's the same kind of process that we follow in the process of communication, but this is done with a rocket speed. This allows the organization to communicate not only in time, but also it saves time. And also it creates efficiency, it builds up efficiency, it also helps people to understand what is it that you are expecting from the other part, and then how can they bridge this particular gap. So internally as well as externally, not only in the organization, you cannot say that only within the department I can use the emails. You can use it externally also. So there are n number of benefits that you're going to derive if you are using the emails. So what is it that we have to keep in our mind whenever we talk about the email? Now, keep this in your mind that whenever we are writing an email, the first thing that we should always keep in or take into consideration is the purpose. What is the purpose behind writing the email? Of course, address matters a lot. Without right email address or the ID that is generally called as, you cannot convey or you cannot share the information. But once when you are having the address, after having the address of the recipient, what is it that you have to think? Know the purpose. What is the purpose behind writing this particular email? After knowing the address or after knowing the purpose, what is it? The next step would be, how well can you draft the information? Drafting information is one of the tedious tasks. And in fact, if you ask me, whenever we are writing any letters or even if we are writing any email, our emphasis should be on drafting the mails in the right form. The tone, of course, should be formal, as we all are discussing about the formal letters. Please remember, email writing is also to be done in the formal way. The tone that you're going to use will be, of course, informal, but at the same time, whenever we are talking about the formal tone, the language that we use, as I stated in yesterday's class, if you remember, we were talking about the three S, that is short, simple, straightforward. You have to keep this in your mind. Even there is a beautiful acronym that is KISS. Keep it simple and short. So English language emphasizes, or if you are talking about communication skill, particularly the formal communication skill, the more shorter and simpler it is, better it would be understood by the other person. So keep it simple and short, keep it straightforward so that the person, the one whosoever is going to receive the communication, can understand, can react accordingly as per your expectation. It is also advised not to use slangs, not to use any abbreviation, because if you are using slangs or if you are using abbreviation, who knows, the other person may not be able to understand. So therefore, avoid using slangs as well as avoid using abbreviation. Now, just to make you understand slangs like got to go, instead of saying got to go, people use gonna. What do you want? Wanna. So these are slangs which is advised not to use whenever you are writing any of the formal letter. And at the same time, abbreviation. There can be different abbreviations which can be used by the different people in different contexts. We should remember abbreviations can create confusion in the mind of the reader, so avoid using abbreviation. It is also advised that whenever you are starting any of the email, from the very beginning till the end, you should always keep it in a formal way. The language that we use, as I have already stated, the language that we use must be formal. Do not use any informal words or even the language which is not appropriate one. So avoid committing errors, particularly in spelling and grammar. Check them properly, check them thoroughly. The best thing that you can do is you can install Grammarly. This is one of the best. I can say that this is one of the best app that I have used in my days. Even when I draft any letter, I generally use Grammarly in order to correct the spellings, even in order to check the grammar. So that helps me a lot. So similarly, it can help you people. So you can check the spellings, you can avoid the grammatical errors, and you can also improve your own grammar skills. So please remember, whenever we are writing any email, avoid using any of these slangs, abbreviation, and also try to avoid spelling errors or grammatical errors. Whenever we are talking about using such kind of like app, if I'm talking about dictionary.com, you can use it in order to identify which are the right words to be used. You can use thesaurus in order to identify based on the content what is the right word to be used. So keep using these in order to improve your skills of listening, speaking, reading, and writing. And also, as I said, avoid using shortcut messages. Most of the time, when like we are used to now to write messages on WhatsApp, isn't it? Even when you are sending a message on Facebook Messenger, what do? We know that time is restricted. Even on Twitter, there is a word limit. So what we do is we generally use the abbreviations or the shortcut, isn't it? But such shortcuts will not be acceptable whenever we are writing the emails. So avoid using shortcuts, which is generally used while texting the messages. Again, that's a tip, that the clue that you have to keep in your mind. The next and the most important thing is generally when we talk about email, most of the time people they do not know whom to mark under the segment 2, whom to mark under the segment CC, and what are the email IDs that can be marked under the column BCC. Now let us understand about these three in detail. So when we talk about two is the field in which we write the email address or the addresses of the persons to whom we want to convey the information directly. Say for example, you have a problem with me and you want to escalate this to the principal of the college. So you should know that you are going to write whose email address into column, right? So this is again very, very important. Most of the time, we don't know what is the difference between to and CC. So what we generally do is we mark everybody into instead of marking the right person into and then marking the rest in CC. Please remember, the one whose email address would be mentioned in to, it is he or she from whom we expect a proper response. Say for example, you have written a letter as like it's a complaint letter to the customer relationship manager. You want a reply from the customer relationship manager, but at the same time you have marked all the email IDs of the concerned authorities into. Now that again creates confusion and dilemma, isn't it? Now who is supposed to write the response? So, and everyone cannot write the response. So, you should be very calculative. You should be very accountable whenever you are writing the email address in the column 2. Please remember, the one who are marked in 2, they are the people who are going to reply. They are the people who are going to respond. They are the one who are going to respond to your question, or you may get an answer from their side. All right. Then comes CC. CC is also called as courtesy copy. Please remember, as the word suggests, that courtesy means it is just for the information's sake. Now, when we want to convey the information, it's not only one person, we may share the information with many. Now, who are the other person with whom we can share the information? Their email addresses will be mentioned under the column CC. So keep this in your mind whenever we are talking about CC. It is the email addresses of all the concerned authorities to whom you want to share the information, but you're not looking for a response from their side. Say, for example, you're a team member. Your teacher had asked you to share a presentation. So you are going to mark your teacher's email ID in the column 2, and your team member's email ID will be marked under the segment CC. I hope you got this clarity. So you will be getting a response, you will be getting some reply only from your faculty member, not from the other members, as this information is just conveyed. So therefore, they are not going to respond to it. Then comes blind courtesy copy. Blind courtesy copy is generally used when you have to share one same information with hundreds of people at a time. So, for example, you want to convey something. Let's say, for example, you want to conduct a survey, you want to conduct some kind of research, you want to conduct some kind of activity, and you don't want to share with everyone what the activity is, and you want everybody to participate at one single go. So what are you going to do? You're going to write all the email addresses in the column or in the segment called BCC, because that is going to hide the email addresses of everyone. Say if you are sending emails to 100 people, out of 100, even if my name is mentioned, and so Neeru can watch only her email address if it is marked under the segment BCC. If you mark it into along with Neeru, all the other recipients, email address can be visible not only to Niru, but even my email address will be visible to the others. Similarly, it happens the same with the email address that is mentioned under the segment CC. So keep this in your mind that whenever you are willing to share bulk email, when you want to hide the email addresses of the other candidates, it is always advised to mark these email addresses under the segment BCC. I hope everybody could understand the difference between 2CC and BCC. So when we talk further, let us understand that when we are talking about email writing versus letter writing, as I said, the language that we use generally, both in letter as well as email, should be kept simple, short, and straightforward. The message that you are willing to convey could be a proposal, could be a report, could be an observation, could be anything. It could be an inquiry, it could be the sales letter, it could be a complaint handling, it could be follow up, it could be resignation, or it could be anything. So whatever the purpose be, always remember, if there is any attachment to be done, if there is any supportive document that is to be included, that must be included. You cannot forget to include the supportive documents wherever required or wherever necessary. So be very careful when you are sharing the email. In case if you have to add any supportive documents, the best tip is always add the supportive documents first and then write down the email, because many a times generally you might have received an email wherein it might have mentioned about certain supportive document, but that is missing. Why is that missing? Because after typing the main letter, generally people tend to send it across without forgetting, like without keeping in mind that it is certain, there are certain supportive documents that are to be included in that particular message. So keep this in your mind that whenever we are talking about writing letters and even including certain supportive documents, those supportive documents must be included before we draft the letter. All right. Always use appropriate email address. Do not have those jazzies or not that good email addresses. Always use your name, and you can have your official email address like made. You can have your personal, you can have couple of email IDs wherein you can use your formal one in a different way and informal one in a different way. So it's always advised not to use the email addresses which may sound bit awkward or bit inconvenient for the other person. So if you have your different email address, it's well and good. In case if you do not, then it is always advised to create one so that you can keep it completely formal. The next is make sure that the subject line, the line that you are mentioning, if you remember, we were talking about the formal letters, and the first thing after writing the from address and to address, we start writing the subject line. The subject line, the same subject line will be mentioned even in the email under the column subject. So what is it that we have to always keep in our mind whenever we are writing the email letter? The subject line should be clear. Most of the time, by reading the subject line, the person will decide whether to read the complete email or to convert it or to discard the email or to put it in the bin. So therefore, it is always advised to have a right subject line. The title should be correct. It should be clear. It must make the reader understand what is it that you want to convey. Always remember the title should be clear, easy to understand. Highlight only the keywords. Do not write the complete sentence. As I have said even yesterday, that whenever we are talking about the subject lines, it need not be in the complete sentence structure. You can use the phrases. If the paragraphs are running very lengthy, or if you think that the paragraphs are too long and a lengthier one, what you can do is you can convert them into bullet points and you can present the same even in the email. Please remember, the structure, the pattern remains the same whenever we are talking about the main body part of the email. It will first start with introduction. Of course, there will be salutation that you are going to convey, that is respected sir or ma'am, or dear sir or dear ma'am, or sir or ma'am. And then you are going to start your letter. The letter will begin with your introduction. If a person doesn't know about you, then You're going to even talk about the purpose in the very first paragraph. If the person knows you very well, he or she is in acquaintance with you, then you're going to straight away write the purpose, followed by detailed explanation of what is it that you want to convey, coming up with the conclusion. Please remember, this is very important because without conclusion, writing any email will not suffice your need. Always remember, while drafting the letters or while drafting any message, the capital letters should not be used. Capital letters are also called as block letters, and while using capital letters or block letters in email writing or typing, it shows that you're angry with the other person, you're shouting on others. So therefore, these are also called as shouting letters. So avoid using capital letters. Always remember, using the sentence case is advised. So it will not give the right impression if you're using the capital letters to convey your message. Do not use emojis, do not use slangs, do not use abbreviation, always follow the grammar rules. Heavy files, if there are any heavy documents which are more heavier, and that is going to create problem for the other person to receive the email. So what is advised is, if there are any heavy file, put it on drive and share the same with the other person so that he or she can have the proper access to it. Also remember, whenever we are talking about emails, it is the same thing that you are going to receive many a times, isn't it? It's not always that you are going to write an email, you are also going to receive the email. Whenever you receive any email, what you should do is you have to give a response to it. Now you may say that giving response to each and every email will be a bit difficult, isn't it? So you should learn the art of prioritizing. So what are the emails that are of high priority? What can be kept aside? And what are the emails, or which are those emails which can be replied even after a day or two? But remember, we should always send a reply only within 24 to 48 hours. Anything beyond 48 hours, people will become restless. So it is always advised to reply the email, to convey the information that yes, you have received the email, you have gone through it, and you may take some time to give or to share the proper information, or even to have the complete communication. At least acknowledge them by sending a response email. Also remember, do not unnecessarily keep on sharing the information time and again. Say for example, if a person had said that he or she is going to respond you in a week time, have patience. Do not keep on sending the email on the same message that I'll be thankful if you can send me the email in 5 days, 4 days to go to receive your reply. You cannot bother the other person. So you should always remember when to stop communication, how to stop communication, how to continue the communication, and when to take the follow up. Too many unwanted emails in reply will not at all be accepted and will not suffice the need. So here, friends, you can see that there is a sample of email. You can see here that whenever we are talking about the email, over here, you can see there is a column called to. Mr. Kapil Mishra, who is the manager of Gyan Bhavan, he is going to reply to this email that is written by the concerned authorities. The information is also shared with Mr. Amarnath, though we don't want him to reply, but still, yes, for the confirmation or for the better understanding, we always mark people with the same designation, or the one whom the information should be shared. So you can mark them under the column CC. Subject line, as you can see, it has to be in proper phrase. Highlight the keywords. Always remember what is it that you want to get the response from the other person. That should be highlighted. So the subject line should be very brief, and it must have all the information shared in that one single line. So you can see that just by reading the subject line, the person will come to know what is it that you are trying to convey in this particular email. So it is inquiry about the conference center that is available or not. So the first line is, dear sir or ma'am, we started with salutation. Then what is the inquiry that is made? What is the purpose behind this confirmation that they are seeking for? What will be the usage of the conference hall? When are they willing to use the conference hall? what are the things that they require, whether available or not, and how sooner can you reply to them. So these are the things that they are expecting from your side. So that's all in today's class. I hope everybody could understand the difference between writing a letter and writing an email. And whenever we are writing email, not to forget, short, simple, straightforward. Avoid using spelling errors. Avoid using grammatical error. In case if you are bit confused with the grammar rules, it's always advised to use Grammarly. If you are looking for the right words, not to forget to use dictionary.com or the thesaurus in order to identify the right words. All right. So that's all in today's class. We are going to come up with another topic in the next class. Till then, take care of yourself and have a fantastic day ahead.